We're going to interrupt this program with a breaking news alert. We have Vail Mail Broadcasting here with you today, and we have our 4 best news analyzers analyzing big news. We have A-Rose, we have Nick Aggie, we have Big A, and we have Joe. Thank you. And hello, ladies and gentlemen. You have news analyzer A-Rose from Vail Mail Broadcasting here with you today, and I will be analyzing a big topic in the news today: gun violence. Just to start off, there's an average of 1,200 gun incidents every week in the United States. This includes on average 267 gun homicides a week and 439 gun suicides. Now it's time to pass on to Nick Aggie. Off to you.
We have decided to look upon the large issues of gun violence and gun laws. As times have progressed and laws have changed, there have been many tragedies and much research to explore about the United States and gun usage. Take the mic, Big A.
As evident from the graph here on the screen, there have been many injuries and fatalities over the course of many years. The number of incidents have been rising and continues to skyrocket. Hey Joe, think fast.
Great way to put it, Big A. I have a graph of my own right here. As you can see here, the most common weapon is a handgun for a homicide. Handguns are extremely dangerous and are used during many tragedies.
Gun violence and gun laws have changed a lot throughout the years. Many events have taken place in the United States. To start off, the first huge school massacre took place in the United States was the famous shooting of Columbine on April 20th, 1999. This shooting killed 12 kids and injured 24. Considering this was the first large school shooting, it brought attention to citizens about the idea of larger amount of security needed in schools. Gun violence has a large effect on students, not only physically, but mentally also. School shootings create a bad atmosphere in school and has gotten to the point where kids no longer have a safe place to learn. About 2,700 students are killed each year and nearly 14,500 are nearly killed. There are many long-term effects on the student, like PTSD, that can ruin the children for life. Drugs, alcohol, and bullying are also leading factors to school shootings.
When looking at gun violence, there's many different patterns you see. In democratic regions of the USA, there's a 4.7 out of 100,000 people death rate led by guns. In Republican regions, there is a 5.7 out of 100,000 people death rate. Most democratic regions in the United States is cities. And there's a more likely rate of murders. For example, think of the city of Chicago. You always hear about different gang shootings each other. In Republican regions, there is a better chance of a suicide rather than a gun murdering someone. In addition, 42% of all adults in the U.S. either own a gun or live with someone who owns a gun. 21% of Hispanic people said they live with a gun or own a gun. 32% of African Americans said yes to this question. The study asked people the same question based on their geography. 29% of people who live in urban towns said yes, 41% in suburban towns, and 58% in rural. The data shows that half of the white people own a gun, and more than half of the people who live in farmland own a gun too.
As many shootings, such as the Parkland, Florida shooting recently, the shooter explains that he was bullied at school and it drove him to commit this horrible act. Also, social media has a large impact on gun violence. Many people are influenced by social media to purchase guns or weapons, act like others they see on the internet, and it encourages this kind of behavior. Hate crimes are also a large issue during this time period. For example, on June 13th, 2016, there was a shooting at a gay bar in Orlando, Florida. In the United States, there are many different views, and we live in a society where people have very opposing points. Hate crimes arise from these opposing points, and it creates violence. Many laws were created and abolished in the past years. First off, on September 13th, 2004, the Violent Control and Law Enforcement was banished. This law banned the sales of assault weapons, and since the law was banished by Congress, it is evident that assault weapons have been used in negative ways. This attempt did not go far in resolving the issue of gun violence. Recently, there was a Las Vegas shooting on October 1st, 2017 at a concert. The shooter added a bump stock to the weapon, then made it into an illegal assault weapon. In January of 2008, the National Instant Criminal Background Check Improvement was made. This adds more extensive background checks and research on people before they are allowed to purchase a gun. Although there are always loopholes and many people illegally get guns or transform guns, as we saw from the Las Vegas shooting. In February 2010, former President Barack Obama signed laws allowing people to bring guns into places such as national parks depending on the state. This increases the use of guns and increases the risk of innocent people being shot and killed.
Gun violence also takes a major toll on the economy. It is harder for locals to get jobs in areas where gun violence is more prevalent. It is also difficult to own a business in these types of areas. The value of these cities decrease as the amount of gun violence increases. Also, cities with more gun violence have to pay more money for security, which also depletes the economy, and many citizens have to pay higher taxes due to the security needed or the laws.
Furthermore, gun violence can be costly to our citizens. If you were to be shot, you would have to pay for health care, law enforcement expenses, criminal justice expenses, employer costs, and lost income. The Law Center of the United States states, researchers conservatively estimate that gun violence costs the United States economy at least $229 billion every year, including $8.6 billion in direct expenses such as for emergency and medical care.
Gun violence has become a huge issue in the United States due to many factors, contributing from the laws to the news. The United States leads all of the world's wealthiest countries in deaths due to gun violence per 100,000 residents. The United States has many more deaths due to gun violence compared to other countries whose gun laws are not even as strict compared to the United States. Out of those high-income countries, the United States leads the pack with more than 3.5 deaths per 100,000 residents, which is more than 7 times the next highest country on the list, which is Canada. There are many reasons that this could be, but the main suspect is the culture of the country and what gets televised. Mass shootings, specifically at schools, have become popularized due to the media attention and fame that it brings to the person who commits the crime. In other countries, things like this fly under the radar to stop the person who did it from getting what they wanted, thus making it less likely to happen. The spokeswoman for the NRA was quoted saying, "Many in legacy media love mass shootings. You guys love it. Now, I'm not saying that you love the tragedy, but I'm saying that you love the ratings. Crying white mothers are ratings gold to you and many other in legacy media." After a mass shooting happens in this country, turn on pretty much any channel and you'll hear about it for weeks. The spokeswoman also talked about how the media is very misleading and messed up on how they portray these shootings, and rarely do they ever mention the grieving black mothers of Chicago and the many who die there due to gun violence. The media in our country may think that they're helping in some way, but really they're one of the main contributors to the problem, and they need to stop.
Bruh, look at this dude. Wait till you see the...
Gun laws have contributed to terrorism in a drastic way. In 2015, 13,000 people were killed by guns in the USA. Despite this, the amount of US civilians killed by guns is nearly 7,000 times greater than those killed in terrorist attacks. As a US citizen, you have a 1 in 315 chance to be assaulted by a gun. You have a 1 in 11,125 chance to be a part of a mass shooting. In 2015, 333 mass shootings happened and 367 people were killed. In 2016, 383 mass shootings occurred and 456 people died. And in 2017, 346 mass shootings occurred and 437 people were killed. The easy access to guns across the United States is the root of many of these shootings. It is believed by many that guns, specifically assault rifles, should be banned in the US because they are not used for hunting or sporting purposes. Assault rifles such as AR-15s are commonly used in shootings and have caused a lot of commotion amongst people that are advocating against gun violence. Other people do not think that AR-15 should be banned because they are semi-automatic, and weapons such as shotguns should be banned instead, because with one trigger pull, you are covering a much larger surface area. Studies have shown that shotguns can cause nearly 5 times the amount of damage than a typical semi-automatic rifle. The easy access to guns that are causing tragedies is the main problem contributing to gun violence in the US, and this is the root of the problem.
Today, some solutions the government have been taking are background checks on people when they are buying them. I believe a possible solution is that more people should be armed with guns with the proper extensive background checks. If people are armed with more guns, then the shooter will be stopped quicker. For example, there was a shooting in Connecticut. A civilian with a gun was nearby and stopped the shooting from progressing into something more deadly. In conclusion, if there is a shooter, people with guns in the area can stop it.
There are many causes, effects, history, economics, and laws that have gone into this ordeal, and research will continue to go on each and every day. Toodaloo, kangaroo.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow at the same time when we discuss Fortnite. Stay sweet, parakeet.
That's all we have time for today, ladies and gents. It's time to scoot, little Newt.